Hello and welcome to Midnight's Murmurs. Please consider using headphones for the best listening experience. Let me know what you think about tonight's tale in the comments. Like and subscribe for more creepy stories. I went urban exploring in an abandoned Utah sanatorium. Something watches from the ceiling. I know how this sounds. Another idiot breaking into an old building and getting spooked by shadows. But this wasn't shadows, and I don't think it ever left. It was Eli's idea. He's always been into this kind of stuff, draining tunnels, decommissioned prisons, Cold War bunkers, urban exploration, but the real kind. No YouTube channels, no Patreon, just grainy maps, broken fences, and a flashlight gripped too tight. This time, it was an abandoned sanatorium up in the Wasatch Range, built in the 1920s, condemned in the 70s, and left to rot ever since. Locals call it Pine Haven, but good luck finding it on any official registry. I only found one blurry photo online. 4 stories of cracked stucco walls and a rooftop cupola eaten away by rust and time. The inside's mostly intact, Eli said, and it's not fenced. No security. People say it's haunted, but come on. That's just the stories they tell to keep teens out. I should have known better. Stories like that are usually warnings in disguise. We parked just before the old fire road washed out and hiked the rest of the way in. The place rose out of the trees like a tumor, long and wide. Windowless on the first floor, with metal grates still bolted over the lower glass. The roof sagged in the middle, paint peeled like skin. But it was quiet, too quiet. No birds, no wind through the pines. Not even the crunch of twigs beneath our boots felt natural. Just that soft, oppressive hush. Like we'd stepped into a place sealed off from the rest of the world. We slipped through a side door already rusted open and stepped into a lobby that looked more like a mausoleum. The air stank of mildew and old blood, the kind of coppery scent that lingers in your teeth. Light filtered in through dust-choked windows, casting everything in a gray film. The floor tiles were cracked, and an overturned wheelchair lay, rusting in the middle of the room like it had been thrown. Eli clicked his flashlight on and grinned. Come on, let's check the intake rooms. The first 2 floors were empty, mostly old exam rooms and crumbling hallways. Filing cabinets overturned, doors hanging loose on rusted hinges. Graffiti on every wall, most of it just tags, but one phrase was scrawled over and over in different handwriting. Don't look up. I pointed it out once. Eli just shrugged. Probably some edgy teen thing. He said it, but he didn't look convinced. We found a staircase near the old kitchen and started heading toward the 3rd floor when we heard it just behind us. A faint click, like something adjusting its weight on a metal frame. We both froze, flashlights swept behind us. Nothing then another sound. Above us this time, a slow, dragging scrape. Like claws moving across an old pipe, Eli looked at me. eyebrows raised. "Rat," he said, though he didn't believe it. I could hear it in his voice. That's when we noticed it, the ceiling. It was covered in dark, soot-stained smears, long streaks trailing from room to room. Some of them branched off, like something had crawled between the beams. We didn't say anything after that. We just kept going, 3rd floor, then 4th, and still the smears followed. The 4th floor was different. The air was warmer, close, like it hadn't moved in decades. The corridor we stepped into was lined with patient rooms. All the doors were slightly ajar. The paint was peeling in long, warped strips, and deep gouges ran along the walls like something with claws had tried to stop itself from being dragged. We didn't speak, not even in whispers, and then came the laughter, soft, childlike, coming from one of the rooms ahead. We both turned. Eli raised his flashlight. The beam hit the cracked wall at the end of the hallway, and then, briefly, something moved in front of it. It scuttled across the ceiling like an insect, fast, almost boneless, pale, narrow limbs, hands that were too long, fingers like nails. We ran. We didn't plan to go to the top floor, but whatever it was behind us now. The sound of something chittering through the vents followed us up. Scraping metal, hollow laughter. A voice, my voice, mimicked back at me in whispers. We slammed the stairwell door behind us and emerged into the top floor. An old communal ward with broken beds, shattered windows, and empty curtain tracks hanging like vines. Something about the layout felt wrong. The angles were off. Too many shadows where light should have pooled. I looked at Eli. He was pale, sweating. "We're not alone up here," he muttered. And then we saw it, several of them, hanging from the ceiling like bats. Their skin was papery and translucent. Their arms bent backward, heads tilted in impossible angles, all of them twitching. Watching, the nearest one opened its eyes. They glowed white, no pupils, no irises, just blank, milky orbs. And then the first one dropped. We bolted, slamming through a door that led to an old records room. I turned and wedged a filing cabinet against the frame while Eli backed away, flashlight trembling in his hand. From behind the door came that same noise, scratching, then tapping, then the sound of something laughing in my voice again. "We're trapped up here now. Eli thinks we can make it to the rooftop. Says maybe there's another stairwell on the other side, or we can signal someone. But I don't think these things live by the same rules we do. The hallway outside is dark. They're still moving, still waiting, still learning how we sound. They haven't tried the door again, not yet. But I don't think they've left either. I'm writing this down in case we don't make it out. In case someone finds our bodies and needs to know not to come here, not to look up, because that's where they hide, not under the bed, not in the closet, overhead, always watching. The scraping stopped about 10 minutes ago. That's the worst part. I think the quiet, because I don't believe they're gone. I think they're waiting, listening, rearranging themselves in the dark. We're still on the top floor, moving slow. Eli kept close at first, flashlight beam sweeping over broken bed frames and tangled curtains. His voice had that hollow edge to it, barely above a whisper, like he was afraid even his breath would draw them in. Maybe they're nocturnal, he muttered once, stepping over a rusted ivy pole. Maybe they can't handle direct light. Then, why are the smears on every ceiling? I asked. He didn't answer after that. The top floor stretched longer than I expected. Half the hallway was warped by age floorboards groaning with each step. The whole thing tilted slightly left, like the building was sagging toward the mountain. We passed more rooms. Some were clearly patient dorms, with 6 or more beds lined in rows, metal frames chewed through with rust. Others felt wrong, like the kind of rooms used for isolation, heavy iron doors, scoring marks on the inside walls. One had deep clawed gouges along the floor, like something had been dragged out by force, but hadn't gone quietly. I don't know how long we wandered, but it must have been at least half an hour before Eli started to crack. Not loudly, not a panic attack, just slowly letting his guard down. They haven't followed us, he said, his voice shaking less. Maybe it's like animals. You enter their territory, they posture, try to scare you off. But once you leave the nest, they don't care. He even smiled a little. I should have stopped him. I should have said something. But I wanted him to be right. I wanted to believe we were safe. We reached a wide, open corridor near the administrative wing. The ceiling here was high, cathedral-style arches and thick beams overhead, like an old church. Dust floated in the beam of our lights. Everything felt almost still. I think we're close, I said, maintenance rooms. If there's a back stairwell or old service access, it'll be this way. That's when Eli laughed, actually laughed. Not manic, just nervous relief, like we'd finally turned a corner. Hell yeah, he said. Man, when we get out of here, I'm never going back underground again. No tunnels, no mines. I'll do rooftops, sunlight. I heard the thump before he did. It came from above. He didn't even have time to look up. Something dropped from the beams, in complete silence, and snatched him straight into the air. There wasn't even a scream at first, just the flashlight hitting the floor and spinning wildly, its beam casting flickering shadows of limbs writhing around him like a spider wrapping its prey. Then the sounds came, wet tearing, bone snapping, Eli's voice, gurgling, choking, pleading, cut off like someone pressed mute. I froze. I didn't move. I couldn't. The thing, whatever it was, didn't come for me. It hung there in the rafters, like a sack of skin filled with knives, pulling Eli's body apart in jerking spasms. Pieces fell. His boot, his arm, something that might have been his jaw. I ran. I don't remember how far or how long. My light flickered the whole way. The ceiling above me groaned. Things skittered above, mirroring my pace, whispering in my voice and Eli's voice. and even voices I didn't recognize. At the far end of the top floor, after turning into what looked like an old staff corridor, I found a secondary staircase, hidden behind a warped door, barely hanging on its hinges. It led down, down, down into blackness. But it wasn't blocked. The first step held. Then the second, no collapse. No rusted trap. I turned back once. The hallway behind me was empty. But I swear, I saw fingers slide along the ceiling beam above the hall. Just the fingers long, bent backward, hooked like praying mantis claws. Then they vanished. I'm in the stairwell now. I haven't gone down yet. I had to write this. I had to say what happened. Eli's gone. And I know how this looks. Creepy story, right? But I didn't make this up. There's something in Pine Haven, something that doesn't walk. It hangs, it waits, and it learns your voice, so it can call your name the second you stop looking up. I'm going down now. If you don't hear from me again, someone burn this place to the ground, salt the earth, seal the tunnels, and don't look at the ceilings. I still have cell service in bursts. If this uploads, I'm not sure I'm alone in this stairwell anymore. I heard Eli again, but it didn't sound like pain. It sounded like he was laughing.